Hey guys, welcome to Your Beautiful Day on the Gratitude Radio Network. And I hope wherever you go, you have a beautiful day. And with me is Neil Haley. Hey, Neil.
Hey, Jen, what's going on? Always excited about our guest. When we talk someone in radio, that makes me excited because that's where I started in is radio and TV to becoming now podcaster slash radio slash TV still. But anyone who gets their start in radio, it's a lot of fun to have a conversation with another radio host. So introduce our guest.
It is, and she's so vivacious. You guys are going to love her so much. And I love her name just by itself. I'm like, oh my God, she's amazing. So with us today, we have Cooper Lawrence. Cooper, welcome to the show.
Hi, Neil and Jen. Thank you so much for having me. And by the way, thank you for saying you like my name, because when I was a kid, not so fun because it rhymes with poop, you know.
Oh, for sure. But you had to learn how to talk to get yourself out of those, change the conversation. So let's talk about Cooper. How did it start? Did you always want to be a performer or I guess a personality?
No, not at all. In fact, so my mom is a Broadway theater producer. So I was like, I'm going to be a stage actress and a playwright. And that's what I was dead set on doing, except the Broadway community, not interested in me. So I was hanging out with some friends in radio and they were like, you should be in radio. And I was like, all right. So there was a job opening and I auditioned for it or sent a tape or whatever. And I got the job and I've been working in radio ever since. I've never stopped. So it's like I stumbled into it. It's interesting. Someone said to me early on, they're like, you're trying so hard to get into Broadway and you're knocking on all these doors and they're not opening. So that should tell you something. and then radio, like I just sort of nudged the door and it flew open. So I was like, oh, I should be in radio. And my friends had come to see me in a play. And I was like, well, what'd you think? And they said, you should be in radio. So clearly, even they were like, you on stage, not so much. You behind a microphone where nobody can see you. Perfect. So yeah, that was almost 20 years ago. And I've been in radio nonstop ever since.
Wow.
That is amazing. And so in the land of no's, this is your yes.
Yes. That's a really good way to put it too, because, people have always told kids their entire lives, they still tell kids this now, you can be anything, you can do anything, but that's really not true. You can't be and do anything.
Exactly.
You can find somewhere that you belong and then you can carve a space for yourself there. But, it took me a while. Like I think 19 or 20 when I first got into radio. So I started acting when I was like 7. So I had this goal as a kid that I was going to be on Broadway. I was going to be on stage. That was going to be my life, with a mother who's a producer, like how could I lose? And, that didn't happen for me. And I had all the opportunities. I just didn't have the talent for it. And that's a hard pill to swallow when you get to a certain age and you're like, you know what? I don't have a talent for that, but what do I have a talent for? And then you go search for that. And then that's when opportunities start to happen for you. So in that realm, you can be and do whatever you want, as long as it's something that you have an aptitude for and you can grow. I don't think I would have grown as an actor. I've grown so much as a radio personality.
Yeah. And that's the key thing is you grow. And I think that a radio personality in so many ways just makes who you are. And so you can utilize it in radio in so many other terms, public speaking, especially the whole growth of social audio and being able to finally speak where we don't have to go on TV or go on a screen. We could just speak. And that's so important and have our audience listen to us. That's great. All right, Jen, what question do you have first for Cooper?
Oh my gosh. Well, I want to go back to the land of no's because here you are, your mom is a producer on Broadway, right? And you grew up with that. So I
grew up with that. Yeah.
You grew up with Broadway, honey.
I did. Yeah. I grew up with that. I grew up with, her producing stuff and she would drag me from show to show. Yeah. That was my life.
What were some of the shows that she dragged you in on?
Well, I think the very first thing that she produced was a show back in the day called Ragtime, and it had won some Tonys. And that was the first thing where she was like, oh, this is going well. She started out, she also comes from a land of no, because she started out as a performer herself. She was a singer. She sang backup for Neil Diamond. So she was like, I'm set. And then she started to do off-Broadway stuff, but it's very competitive. And I think she realized that she had an aptitude for producing. She was really good at putting people together. So, I mean, she's produced everything over the years. She's produced War Horse. She just produced Be More Chill on Broadway. So, I mean, she's had show after show over the years, and she continues to work like crazy. I don't know if if she became a singer, if she'd still, work into her 70s. So, at 70 she can still produce, but I don't know that necessarily should be the ingenue anymore. Next, you know what I mean? Like, I think she made the right choice for herself.
That definitely sounds like it. And what did you learn most from your Broadway experience that you take today in radio?
It's interesting because I've never been shy because of it. I think a lot of kids, I was an only child. A lot of only children are very shy because they don't have, brothers and sisters to push
Right.
you out there and to bring out your personality. But I think, theater and Broadway did that for me as a kid. So I think that's what I brought to radio, that, not being shy and not being afraid to express yourself, which translates really well into radio, especially now when people are sharing so many personal stories and so many things about themselves. Like, as an actor, you've got to be really open. And it's the same thing in radio. You've got to be really open. Otherwise, you're just somebody, reading a liner note. And what do they need you for?
Exactly. And there are a lot that are like that don't bring that personality into the game, and
Right.
then miss out so much. They don't go into the personal connections. They don't listen to the answer that the guest has. So they go into a totally different thing. So it's a process, and then you never know where that conversation leads in so many ways. And I think when you look at this, so the experience, Jen, so far we're hearing is that Jen also loves the stage. She is in the stage. She is a producer as well. You guys have a lot of connections, and it's funny, you weren't even booked for this till the last minute. And
I know.
You're a huge replacement. I mean, we're like, all right, perfect. I said perfect. I said perfect. Yes, perfect situation, because we both are radio, both performers. I'm a former professional wrestler, so I was on a different stage in the wrestling ring as you were trying to hit it in the. But I found out that radio and performing is my love, and I had to go back into teaching to figure that out. Go figure, right, Jen?
Well, it's
I
kind of
figured
funny.
out.
You're still teaching, Neil.
I know
You're
I'm
still
still
using
teaching.
your
That's where the brand has come, is where I've done all these things in 11 years, but I finally found it, thanks to Clubhouse, that I'm a great teacher. That I could
Neil,
teach
let me
people.
let me ask you the same question you asked me. So, what was it about wrestling that prepared you for where you are now?
See a host asking another. I think that wrestling, I learned a lot, but I wasn't the best in mic work. I was not, because they were casting me in the wrong character. I'm a legitimate 6'10", so I was a big. They were, trying to be this big dumb goof, and that's just not who I was. And then I ended up producing my own wrestling types of stuff, and then some people gave me different gimmicks, and then finally I became me. But I had to walk away for so long and teach till I had the opportunity in radio again, because I was trying to create an education podcast, which entertainment brought me back the bug again. But now I finally found my mission 11 years later in business, that and radio and business. Wow. You know what? I shouldn't have gotten rid of the education part of the gimmick. I shouldn't have gotten rid of the part of teaching people and empowering people in everyday life, and really bring that personality out that I really don't put out all the time as a talk show host. I ask great questions. I listen great, but I really don't put that entertainment value that I can when you ask me specific questions about how to fix something or to do something and give them a step-by-step reasoning. That is just not been, I always don't put myself in the spotlight when I interview people. I really try to make them, because as a professional wrestler, our job is to make the person we wrestle look like $1 million. And so that's how I take the way I interview people. I tell a story from beginning, middle, end.
I love that.
I sat down with Diamond Dallas Page, and he's so funny. He said, I only got 29 minutes. And I knew exactly when to finish it up. He says, I know you're a worker, because you knew exactly when to take it home. Because in wrestling, we tell a story, beginning, middle, then the end of it. And at the end, we say it's time to close out the match. And so basically you have to get the story, what I call this part of the interview, because I understand the art of the interview. So that's the other things I want to teach other people to understand after doing 7,000 plus interviews in over 11 years, that the process is first getting to know them, breaking the ice, learning a few things, and then really breaking down where we want to take this. Till we finally have taken it to the final part. And Jen and I know we've interviewed people for 15 minutes. We're like, we got to go home. There's
How'd you guys find each other? Because Jen, so your background's in producing. How did you and Neil? I'm sure your listeners have probably heard this, but I haven't. So I'd love to know how you guys met.
I came on her show. Jen, you're muted. You're muted. So she
Sorry. Oh my gosh.
She's speechless. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm speechless. That's once. My one candle wish was to have my show back, my Your Beautiful Day. And I got my show back. And then I wanted a publicist, and I got a publicist. I mean, it all happened on the same day. Neil came on my show as a guest, and I said, I want you to be my publicist. And we started working, and he created my whole network.
Wow.
And I'm not done yet, because we're still adding on to it. And I want it to be a creative heaven, so everyone can be in their creative vortex and go and monetize and make money and have a voice and use all of our gifts in life. So I'm the mother of gratitude. And that's every mother, whether you have fur babies or little ones. We're all mothers of gratitude.
I'm a fur baby mom, so I understand.
I love Cooper going into this. It's like we're on a couch at the Tonight Show or something. That's okay. Because I was thrown in last minute. Okay, so Cooper, I'm going to take you. Tell us about your current radio show, because we're at like already that, but we could probably talk for hours.
No, I want to know the MTV and VH1, and I want to wrestle with all of that too. So you and I are going to.
Yeah, so you'll have to. There might be a part two. So let's talk about the radio show first. But then I also was blown away. But I went to your website and said, "Oh, you're doing some other bigger things too." So how did radio shows start?
So Anthony and I started doing this radio show when I'd gotten my own radio show. I'd been at Z100 for years. I'd been at other stations for years, and they were looking for just a female host that was kind of in my space. So they needed like a co-host and producer, and I couldn't find anybody. I was auditioning a bunch of guys, and I found some guy, and we flew down to Charlotte, North Carolina, because the link in Charlotte was going to be one of our big stations. So I'm down there in Charlotte, and they just threw a guy in to run the board. And while I was sitting there, now keep in mind, this was like almost 20 years ago, so I was way hotter. And I was holding a banana, and I didn't have, and I had yogurt, a banana and yogurt, and I didn't have any silverware. So I was dipping the banana into the yogurt, and I wasn't eating it seductively. I swear I wasn't. But the guy across the way said, "Aren't you a little old to try to be," I was like 30. "Aren't you a little old to try to be seducing a room full of men with a banana?" And I was like, "Aren't you a little old wearing Hollister? Aren't you like 30? And it was just like kismet. It was like the very first things we said to each other were we ragged on each other for what we were doing. And we just had an instant connection. And then it turned into, what do you do or wear? That you're like, I'm too old for this. The phones blew up. And it was great chemistry. And we've been working together. I fired the guy who came down there with me. And Anthony and I have been working together ever since. And we ended up doing mornings at BLI, and we took the station to #1, and we won a bunch of Gracie Awards. And then, it's really hard working for other people. You guys have probably experienced this. Oh, yeah. Everybody else makes decisions about the creative and what you're doing and not doing and who your sponsors are going to be. Well, after all these years, we have all that stuff down. So we decided we left BLI and we started our own show, and it's been going ever since. We have a syndicated deal. So we're syndicated through Key Networks. And then we also have a podcast that's the number 43 podcast in the country. So we're doing what we want to do when we want to do it. Where our creative is all ours, content is all ours, and it's going well, and the money's all ours. So we don't have to share anything with anybody.
I love that. I absolutely love the creating together is everything, and either you have it or you don't.
Yeah, that's true.
One person's struggling and the other one isn't. And have the balance of that is rare. And to have the chemistry of that is outstanding.
Yeah, I got very lucky finding Anthony, and we've been working together. There's nobody else I'd rather work with. I mean, we have great chemistry. He knows me really well, and it just the show. I mean, the show is really good, and I joke and say I've been riding his coattails for 11 years. So because
So-
he's really talented.
So how's a radio show host being successful as a podcaster?
Surprisingly well. You know, I remember when podcasting first got started, I think you guys are also on Blog Talk Radio. I started on Blog Talk Radio as a side gig, and my very first podcast won a Gracie Award. And when I was there with all the podcasters, it was all radio people. So at the time, I think now like everyone has a podcast, but the real podcasters, the ones that are truly successful, started out in entertainment. They started out in radio, like you did.
Yeah, I'm in terrestrial radio and all that. So yeah, absolutely.
Right, exactly. So I think the best podcasters come from a radio background, and
I just thought how it equates to a podcast. Like, tell us the show. How does it work in a way? Is it you have guests on every?
Yeah, we've got not every day. We have guests when it makes sense. Like we have people that are in pop culture. Like if somebody's video goes viral, like I don't know if you saw a couple of weeks ago, there was that influencer, and she had said that she will not go on a coffee date or a walk. She has to be taken out for dinner, and people were calling her high maintenance, and it went viral. And she has like millions of followers now. So we had her on the other night to kind of defend herself. But then we also have like, you know, I really love the show Zoe's Amazing Playlist, Extraordinary Playlist. So we had like the cast were on, and, you know, just like whatever's going on in pop culture. It's a pop culture / entertainment show. So, you know, if somebody makes sense to have on, we have them on. Otherwise, we just talk about what's going on.
Audio or video, both?
Well, audio and video, because we're also live on Twitch. So we do the video live on Twitch, and then we repurpose that for the podcast.
Every day?
Every day, Monday through Friday.
So that's probably another way you rank high in podcasts, is constantly having new releases of your podcast.
Every day. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Another good test to look at is specifically enough that way.
Okay. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's what we've been doing. So, and we do, we kind of structure it like a morning show, because we've always done morning shows, either morning show at night, or we've done morning shows. So it's like a lot of different topics, a lot of different segments. And, you know, as a listener, you can listen to one section and then go on with your life, or you can listen to, you know, the whole show if you want.
Gotcha.
I love it. So is it, how many hours a day is it?
We do 1 hour a day, and then, but we do lots of different topics, and that again, like a morning show, lots of different topics. And then the syndicators take the pieces that they want and they put music around it. If it's a music station, and, you know, it gets repurposed for a million things. So
for a million things. No, I used to have Monday through Friday from 9 to 11. I was on the air. So,
right. So, you know,
so we had to come up with all of our own content. That's when I became the producer, the director of everything, and pitching it. And all of a sudden, blah. And I was just there to pitch a movie. So it just kind of, I walked out with my own show and everything prime time.
And what kind of show is it? What were you doing? Like, what were your topics? What were you doing?
Topics were everything pop culture, like you're talking about, stuff that was happening around in Tampa Bay. We had Big Cat Rescue on before it went on Netflix, and she was talking about the suitcases full of cubs, and we had no idea what that was, or the dog that was found in the bay just swimming because he accidentally went overboard. And it was just, you know, it was fun stuff every day that we were filling in, and charities and goodwill, and trying to make it as happy as can be with all of the negativity in the world. I wanted something that was funny and fun and kind of prankish, because I just wanted to share the gratitude, that have people exuding gratitude in their own lives, no matter what their life looked like.
Great philosophy. I love that.
Yeah. So tell me about VH1 and MTV.
So VH1 I've been working with on and off for years. I did a show called Confessions of a Teen Idol. And then since then I've been doing, like, I'm a talking head on all their like mama drama, or, you know, whatever's going on in Kim Kardashian's world, you know. So you know how they have these specials where they always have like somebody sitting there commenting. So I'm always one of those people. And then I did a special for MTV about people who want to be a Kardashian and what that does to their relationships and their lives. And there was one guy in particular that was like getting all this plastic surgery, and his husband was like, hi, I wanted to be with you, not Kim Kardashian. So that was a really fun show. It was a True Life. That's a whole series they've been doing for a long time.
Oh yeah.
And then right now I'm on the E! True Hollywood Story. They brought that back. So I've done a bunch of those. So
Were
I,
you hosting that?
Exciting.
yeah, so it's a lot of talking head stuff right now. I'm not doing Confessions of a Teen Idol was awesome, but I was doing my own syndicated show at the same time, and I couldn't wait to get off the set and get to the radio studio because I'm a radio girl, I'm not really a TV girl, you know.
Well, you did Entertainment Tonight and you looked gorgeous.
Yeah, but those are one-offs. You know what I mean? You show up, you're a contributor.
You're
You
so tan. Oh my God. Did you go to the Bahamas? You look beautiful. Look how tan. You look so tan. I'm jealous. I'm jealous over here.
I think we shot it during the summer. That's all. But yeah, no, I mean, I like the ones that are one-offs. I mean, I've worked on shows. I used to work on the Tyra Banks show, and Tyra was my favorite boss ever. But it was easy because I would just go and shoot like, 1 or 2 days a week. I really admire these people that have shows that they shoot every single day. It is really tedious. I find radio fun. Like I can't wait every single day. I can't wait till my show starts.
Right.
With television, for me, it felt very tedious. And I really admire people that just love it because that wasn't me.
And you never know. You never know in TV, especially the expectations, even doing video, especially, putting in TV and where I'm working on different things. My television network I'm launching is already on Roku and Amazon Fire Stick, and we're just kind of just developing that type of stuff. And it's just the content with OTT networks, all these different things, social audio, it never stops. But I was getting a little burnout of social audio because I've been spending so much time. Have you been jumping on Clubhouse?
Yeah, every once in a while. Yeah. Have you? My favorite one is I love on Tuesdays. Lindsay Lohan does her Clubhouse show, and I love that she's become an expert in everything. It's my favorite one because no matter, they'll have an expert on like telling her something, but she always knows better. So
Really?
it's
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I don't recall it. Yeah, I do a lot. I do rooms for Club Pod, which is the largest podcasting group on Clubhouse, and it's pretty interesting. You'll have to definitely check it out there.
What kind of stuff do you talk about on Club Pod?
Club Pod, we're just basically going to focus on teaching people how to be successful podcasters, from how to start, scale, and monetize your podcast, to just specifically what setup, how to get it out there, where to, how to book guests, any types of questions I write for Podcast Magazine as well.
Oh, wow. I didn't know there was a podcast magazine. That's awesome.
Yeah, Steve Olsher is the owner of it, and he basically, there's really interesting things he's doing, but we have different celebrities on his covers, different things like that. So again, I wouldn't have known about your podcast. So isn't that amazing how you're out there everywhere, and yet people still don't know. Everyone doesn't know you. So even though they know you from specific things, it's like continuing the promotion of the radio show and the podcast. What's more important, the radio show or the podcast now, where the way things are going? What do you think?
I mean, for us, it's the same thing. It's how people consume information. Some people want to watch the show live on Twitch, and some people, they'd rather be in their cars or however they listen to their radios now, since people are not really in their cars as much. And then there's people that would prefer to listen to the show. I mean, even when I was at PLJ, like everything we did at PLJ, Z100, BLI, all the stations I've been at, everything we would do during the morning of the day would then become a podcast because, if you miss the show and you still want to listen to it, it's an opportunity for the station to monetize it, but it's also an opportunity for us to, get our name out there. But no, we get a lot of press on our podcast. We had this whole thing back and forth with Kyle and Jackie O in Australia. And that was we got press in the Daily Mail and Page Six. And I think that really put us on the map, because when you look at our podcast under entertainment, we're in the top 10 everywhere right now. So it always takes that one thing that, people, it draws attention, and then suddenly people are like, oh, that's pretty good, I'm going to keep listening. And then it's all word of mouth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Jen, ask that gratitude moment, because we're getting close to running out of time.
Oh, we are, but I have one thing that Cooper is really good about, and I want to share this with our listeners and everyone that's watching. She is just phenomenal because she loves giving back, and I love that part of gratitude. So Cooper, could you tell us your charities that you have and your therapy dog work and all the stuff that you're into?
I do a lot of charity work because, like you, it's, I've been so fortunate in my life. And so I'm so grateful. And the least I can do is give back I try and give back with volunteering more than anything else, because, I feel like anybody can write a check, which is great because a lot of charities do need your money. But I like to actually be there and participate. So I have a therapy animal, and we do a reading program at the New York Public Library. We visit with kids at the NYU Langone hospitals, the kids that are inpatient that have to stay there. What we're finding is there's a lot of kids that are actually not from New York, but they have such good hospitals here that they're flown here from elsewhere. And while I do have a parent that comes with them, they can't bring their dog, they can't bring their cat. And, a lot of kids become very depressed. So I show up with this big, giant, white, fluffy dog named Marconi, and they get, they're happy for the first time. They feel, that animal love is really special. So I'm just holding the leash. It's the dog who's doing all the work. So yeah, I'm really into the therapy animal work, and we do therapy animal work in hospice. Like anybody who wants us, we're part of Pet Partners. So I'll get an email and they'll be like, they need you, and we just throw on our vests and run over. So yeah, I like being there in person and seeing people benefit from a visit with, a big fluffy animal.
That is so sweet. And that's one of those things that it's universal because of the unconditional love that goes with it.
Right. Yeah. And then seeing a lot of, kids, we work a lot with the kids who are going through physical therapy as well. And they're afraid of these big contraptions they have to get on. So we've trained the dog to get on the treadmill with them or to help them upstairs. So he does participate in their physical therapy after they've had all of their surgeries. So it's not just the visit. He also participates in helping them with their physical therapist go through the therapy, which, if you're a kid, it's scary. There's a lot of equipment, a lot of, medical professionals, and then this dog is there. So you're more likely to do what it is that your physical therapist wants you to do if the dog will do it with you. So yeah, it's kind of nice.
Yeah, and some of the physical therapy equipment, it's kind of scary. They'll have half of a car. So to teach you to get
right.
in the car, walk up stairs that go nowhere, walk back down.
Yep.
So as a kid, you're not going to understand. This is like the land of broken toys,
Right, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They have bus stops. I mean, some of them are they really like go all out. It looks like a movie set. But you're right. I mean, and the littler the kid is, and then, there's kids, like I said, from other countries that English is not their first language. So it's all very intimidating. So I think it makes them feel better to have a dog there, and they've gotten to know the dog because we visit them, every week. We're there, same day, same time. So we go through the therapy with them and we help them. So yeah, I mean, it's again, it's nice to be a volunteer rather than writing a check, at least for me. Everyone has their own way that they give back. For me, I like physically being there and being able to help a person if I can.
Right. You're really in the trenches like I am when it comes to giving back. I want to be there. I want to see the smiles on the faces. I want it to be my time and to have that impact, especially with animals. I just think that that's beautiful. And that's a beautiful day. And that's a way to have a beautiful day. I have a question. I ask all of our guests one question. And to me, it's really important because I want to know exactly when did you pinpoint this gratitude moment. It's one moment in your life that changed everything and brought you to where you are right now.
For me, I am always grateful to my listeners because I'm aware that without them, I wouldn't have a career. I wouldn't be who I was. And I remember the first time when I first had my own radio show, and you know how it is. You're in a room by yourself talking into a microphone. You think people are listening, but you don't really know. Somebody had sent an email and said that they were going through chemotherapy and it was a really intense time. And our show was super funny. And they loved to sit there while they were in chemotherapy, listening to us and laughing. Cause like I said, it's like a morning show. We had a room full of people and we just had a great time every single night. And I was like, wow. So it's not just people in their cars being like, these idiots. There's actually somebody out there who needed to hear us during a difficult time in their lives. And we were there for them, which I never even considered. And that was the moment that I was like, wow, I am really grateful to our listeners because they take us with them during the important times. We're not just background noise. We matter. And it's because of them. So at that moment, I'm always so grateful. I know it's all about the listener.
That's beautiful. Yeah, because we share our lives with our listeners.
Right.
Neil.
All right. So Jen, we're ready to close out. It's so great to talk to Cooper today. And Cooper, I just tell you, we could talk for hours, especially about, trading war stories of radio and different things and all these amazing things happening. It's awesome. Congrats again for the success of the podcast and radio show.
Thank you. And of course, I have so many more questions for the two of you. So we need to do another hour together.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I always book solid. That's a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, Jen, go ahead and close us out.
Well, we'll have to come on your show for certain.
Absolutely.
So much fun. So much fun. Thank you so much for being with us today. How can people find your information, where you are, what you're doing next?
If they go to cooperandanthony.com, they can find if there's a station near them that plays our show, or how to find us on Twitch or the podcast. It's all there on cooperandanthony.com.
Awesome. Thank you so
Fantastic.
much. We have been listening to the vivacious Cooper Lawrence, who is an amazing woman,
Thank you.
podcaster, announcer, TV host. What do you want to do? Everything, because she can. And I am so thankful that you were on our show today. And Neil, thank you for being with us. It's
You're
always
welcome.
amazing. I always love having you with me. And remember, wherever you go, bring gratitude with you. And regardless of what your life looks like, remember, you're blessed, you're loved, and you're sacred. I love you. Mwah. Have a beautiful day.